So there's, I feel personally, there are a couple of areas of, specifically in Australian numismatics, that are a little underrated or undervalued. In my opinion, one of the big ones is pre-Federation banknotes. I'm a big fan of them. I know you know a lot about them. I think they're fascinating. But my question is, well, first of all, do you agree with that? And also, are there any areas that you personally have identified that you think don't get the attention that they're worthy of in your mind?
Yeah, so I think if we looked at, so how do we measure that? How do we measure whether something's underrated or overrated or rated appropriately? I think if we looked at prices in the market, pre-Federation notes are selling at levels, generally speaking, that they were in the early 1990s, which is just incredible. You know, you can have a circulated, an issued, signed pre-Federation note for the same price it was selling for 20, 25 years ago. There are very few assets, you know, blue chip assets in Australia that we could say the same. So from that point of view, yeah, there are certain pre-Fed notes that are really good value for money. You know, for people that enjoy the history of them, that have a long-term interest in them, I think getting into the market at the current levels makes a lot of sense. There's no need to feel uncomfortable about it. Having said that, the pre-Fed market was up here, leading up to sort of between 2007, 2012. So it's had a long trip down. But you know, I think they're for people that have an interest in them and see them as being of long-term value, I think they should be pretty comfortable getting into the current market levels. As an adjunct to that, I'd say, what do I think is a really good area for people to look at that's tied to pre-Federation notes? I'm going to be publishing an article on our website within the next week about privately issued currency notes from Australia's, say from the early 1800s through to the mid 1900s. So they're called mainly called Shinplasters. So these are promissory notes or private currency notes. So there's like a whole taxonomy that I could go into that explains the difference between all the different types of currency notes issued by entities other than banks. But Shinplasters are the loose name that's given to most of the ones that we see. So these are notes that are very similar to tradesmen's tokens. So Matt, you might find a general store in Charleville in Queensland who was 400 k's from the nearest bank. Somebody would buy something from him with a £5 note and he'd need to give £4 something in change. So they would often issue their own notes to give us change. And so that to me, because we're talking about the creation of money, which is a really abstract concept. So how money is created, people don't understand, right? So here we can look at the creation of money in a really granular, upfront, personal context. We can see what worked and what didn't, and we've got a physical note that represents that exercise. I think I think they're incredibly cheap. You know, some of them there's only 2 or 3 known, and you're talking hundreds of dollars. I think it's ridiculous.